Welcome to the Rest Movement, where we release every single thing. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Rest Movement. I am your host, Renee Young Blake, the Nugget Dropper.
And I am your co-host, Sonja D, bringing the soul to the Rest Movement.
All right now.
And we are so glad that you are joining us.
So glad to see you. And I hope that you've been commenting like we've asked you to. I hope that you've subscribed to the Nugget Tribe. And I hope you are commenting and you are sharing and also like. It's important that you share because I believe that when one woman heals, we all have a healing coming our way. And so it's real important that we share good information.
Community.
It's like a good sale. Don't you share that? Or do you hide that out? You find a good restaurant. Don't you share your good restaurant?
I don't. I don't share the good restaurant.
You don't share the good restaurant.
I don't want to be in a wait line.
I don't either.
Okay.
But let us share this content, this information, because we are leading a movement. The Rest Movement means release every single thing. Reset, reboot, reload, restore. And we want to encourage you to stay connected to the tribe, be a part of this community, because we are on a journey of healing. And notice I said the word journey. So it doesn't happen instantaneously. Now, God can do that. But when we put in the work, it takes time. And you have to be ready to work. You have to be ready to allow yourself to heal. Because I can tell you, if you don't reveal and you just keep hiding, you can't heal what you won't reveal. And the revealing doesn't have to be to everybody. It just needs to be to you. You need to reveal it. Really reveal it to yourself. Identify it so that you can heal it. So the last two episodes, episode 5 and 6, we were talking about forgiveness. We talked about unpacking the pain so you can unlock the promise. And this episode will probably have 2 parts because I believe that when we just start talking about things that we'll go over the time that we want to keep you. But either way, I want you to stick with us. I want you to continue to rock with us because I believe God is up to something great. Absolutely. And you are part of this great thing that God is doing. So today's episode, we want to go a little deeper. Surface healing isn't enough. We need to get to the root of things. We need to do some root work. And root work can be dirty. You know, when you have a pot, you changing a plant from one pot to the other, you got to get dirty to get all of the root, get all of the plant out. You got to dig deep into the soil. And today we're talking about digging into the soil called soul, your mind, your will, and your emotion. This episode is getting to the root of your hurt, digging deeper into your soul. So I want you to understand if forgiveness closes the account, because that's what we were talking about last, releasing people from debt. If that closes the account, then root work closes the wound. And so we need this wound closed. I've shared with you many times that I'm a hospice nurse, but one of the things that sets me apart is wound care is my niche. I love to take care of wounds. I'm really good at healing wounds. And wow, just that just hit me. Woo, that's a spiritual nugget right there. I'm real good at healing wounds in the natural, but God has also gifted me in healing, helping heal spiritual wounds. Amen. Emotional wounds. My God. Who knew? I never even thought about the fact that my colleagues call me all the time. They just give me a description of the wound and I can tell them what to do. And sometimes they'll send me a picture so that I can tell them what to do. And, or they'll see one of my patients, this new patient, they'll say, listen, your nurse is coming. I'm not going to order anything because she knows her stuff. And it wasn't something I was trained to do. God just gifted me to heal wounds that doctors have said will never heal. Science says it never heal, and somehow God gives me to heal the wounds, the physical wounds of my patients. Wow. But God also has gifted me to heal and help heal the wounds of my sisters and my brothers. But my sisters are real important to me. So we got to dig deep, and we got to dig and get to the root of things so that we can repot. Amen. Get rid of the weeds. Whack them weeds out. Get right down to the root. Make sure the root is healthy so we can replant in a good place so that we can thrive and we can grow and become everything that God intended. So, what comes to mind when you hear dig up the root of your hurt? What does that make you think about?
It makes me think that I have to go back to the beginning, to how that happened, how I got there. And let me tell you, sometimes when you go back to the beginning of a hurt, especially when you are dealing with unforgiveness, sometimes you realize that you had more to do with that than you take credit for. Some things could have been prevented had you reacted or had you made a different decision. I think that's important to do that, because not only do I need to let the person off the hook, but I need to let myself off the hook. Because
I don't know if we talked a lot about forgiving ourselves in the last one, but that's some root work that we can talk about now.
Yeah. It's very important, because that's one of the things I suffer from, is self-condemnation, more so than dealing with the unforgiveness, is how I handled it and how I should have handled it or could have handled it. And
you mean when you were being human?
I was being human. Yes.
Because if the word says there's no condemnation,
Right,
to them that thinks, so how do we condemn ourselves? It's the same way we don't forgive ourselves. God forgives us, so why are we still hanging on stuff? If God forgives, then why won't we forget? Why do we keep holding on to it?
So true.
When I hear dig up the root, like you, going back to, I've shared in previous episodes my upbringing, my experiences, and growing up in a family of men outside of my mother, but my brothers were much older. And I was telling you earlier how I didn't grow up with anybody my age in my house. So I was always with older people. My oldest brother was married at 20, so I was 9 when he got married. And so I had my first niece when I was 13. So I was always around older people. So I was older in the way I carried myself, but I didn't have the older life skills. I just had the maturity of being around and kind of catching lessons because of what I saw. This is how you act when this happens. This is how you act. But when the rubber hits the road, as I think you referred to some, you were talking about your issue, when you have to deal with things as an adult and you don't have anybody around there to give you guidance, you suddenly realize, oh, I don't know as much as I thought I knew, because I played the role well. And that's a lot of part of this movement. As women, we play these roles. We play these roles as wives. We play these roles as mothers, and we have to keep it together for our children. We gotta be that helpmate. Make sure we keep it together for our husband, and we're behind the scenes breaking down because we're being superwoman. We're not putting God's super on our natural for a supernatural spirit. We just trying to be super ourselves. And so when I think of digging deep and really looking at myself and really looking at a place where I want to get delivered, it took me unpacking my mother's story to really begin to unpack me. Think of a lot of the experiences, like, not being taught about boys and just forming in my mind that all men were like my brothers. All men were like my dad, that they loved me without condition, and that, they would ride for me. They would take care of me. They would protect me. And then I showed up like my mother to them. She served my dad because my dad took great care of her. She served my brothers and I. She took great care of us. So what did I do? I walk around serving men who didn't deserve any of the service that I was given. But I didn't have the skill set. I didn't have what I needed to make sure that my mind was mature enough to handle with this grown body had developed into.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I spent my life with, I've always had people say, oh, you're only 20? Oh, you carry yourself more like a such and such year old. I remember being a stay in school in when I was in high school. And I worked for a group of attorneys, and they could not believe that I was in high school. They thought I was, had graduated from college, and I was coming there to intern because I was interested in being an attorney. No, I'm 18. No, I'm not 20 something. I'm 18. I'm whatever. But it was because I've spent my life around older people, and so I didn't get those playmate skills. I had playmates with the people on my block. Mm-hmm. And even then, there were 3 girls on the block. One of them went to private school, so she never really played with us. Mm-hmm. She went, we never got to see her until late in the evening. By that time, we finishing up our play. So I grew up with boys all up and down the street. So never did I have that girly girl experience until my second brother's girlfriend. They started dating in the 10th grade. And so she was around a lot. She took me a lot. But even then, she was in the 10th grade. She learning to be a woman too. So even though she was like a second mother because of the age difference and the things that she used to take and do with me, she still was developing and learning herself. And she had her own story to unpack. Right. She had the story of her mom to unpack because we take on what our mothers were or are. And if we don't dig deep, because that generation didn't know anything about being transparent. They didn't know anything about being authentic and being allowed to be who you are. I mean, we're just, how many, 40 years out of, don't mess with my math. We're not far out of civil rights. So even as Black and brown people, freedom is a dirty word. You didn't have freedom. You didn't have time to even wrap your mind around being free as a person. So you just had to do. You just had the task. And so that's what I think about when that digging up the roots. I'm not just digging up my roots. I'm digging up the roots of my family. Yeah. I'm digging up the roots of my brothers because how they grew up and how they turned out and how they matured affected me because I was around them. Yeah. Watching them date, all of those things I got to see, and it formulated something in me because nobody taught me. I watched and I thought I was learning, but what I caught wasn't really what I needed to be catching. Because I didn't ask questions. We didn't have conversations. And that's why this is so important. Because I know that there are a gazillion women who have had the same experiences we've had. And it doesn't matter how old you are. That's why this is for 35 years and older. You can be 90 years old and rediscovering who you are and getting to the root of things. And even at 90, being free.
There's no age limit.
There's no age limit to freedom. We all need to get there.
And we're going to help
say that. So why root works matters. Unhealed roots resurface. Same pain, new packaging.
Triggers.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I thought of. Triggers.
Unhealed roots resurface. They just pop up. It's just like having an argument with somebody and the person just stops you and saying, I know we're not arguing because I didn't put the cup back where the cup was supposed to be. What's going on? But we don't take the time to even do that. Rather than asking, what's really going on here? What do? We get in an argument with that person and nothing gets resolved. Now you have 2 mad people walking away. But the root of what happened, the root of why that little thing, because you've been allowing things to build up and build up and build up, and then you become this geyser. It's like a, what do you call those pots? Pressure cookers. Mm-hmm. You hit them, then they and then you have to tap it and release the pressure. Well, that releasing the pressure is just like having conversation and taking away the burden that somebody's carrying by just being interested. We don't take interest. Just like asking, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. you're not really fine.
Right.
And if they really start telling you, most of us, all we want to hear is I'm doing fine, because we don't really want to know.
Yeah, is
We
that
don't.
uncomfortable?
Absolutely, we're uncomfortable, because what do I do if somebody really says, I'm really having a hard time, I don't know what I'm going to do? You're like, oh man, I really didn't want to know that. I just was trying to make conversation. But why do we do that?
Yeah.
You know,
You hear the new saying that's been out lately is check on your strong friend. But
I haven't heard that. What is that? What does that mean?
the one that always seems like they got it together, that's handling
right.
well, or so we think.
Absolutely.
But checking on your strong friend isn't just sending a text, right? Because, like I shared with you the other day, a text, you can read a text however you want to. You need to pick up the phone or go make a visit, because it is really important, like you said, and you have to be ready for what they're going to say. And if they're really a good friend, and you're going to know.
Absolutely.
So be ready.
Yeah, I get that for real, because people who are strong are carrying their weight that they really pack down deep, and they make room in their backpack for everybody else's stuff.
Yes.
And then they get to carry. I learned from my third brother. He used to always talk about a trash can that doesn't have a bottom, that he don't let nobody dump trash on him. And I took that approach. It's the reason why when somebody will call me with an issue, and I'll talk about the issue with them, and I'll give them some encouragement and give them some instruction on how to get through. And if they call me back and say, remember what you said to me the other day? No. I barely even remember what the struggle is, because once I release it to God, once I pray with you, I don't have anything else to do with that. Unless God gives me some actionable things I'm supposed to do to help you on that journey. What I've shared with you and my prayer with you or for you, God can do the rest of the work. That's between you and God to fix. Because otherwise, I'll be carrying around everybody's stuff. And my backpack and me will be dragging the ground. May not even be able to go nowhere, because the backpack, you see how these little children and these parents that had those backpacks wore down, and kids be walking like this, trying, poor little bodies, trying to carry all that weight. We're teaching them already to carry more weight than they're supposed to. It's not normal. We're not supposed to carry it. And so we have to get those roots healed, because those unhealed roots will resurface. So forgiveness alone won't uproot the deep trauma. So again, we talked about the fact that forgiveness is just the first step. It's releasing the debt, but we need to get to the root so that we can heal the wound. And so we got to make sure that we don't just forgive and think that's it. Oh, I feel good now that when they come around, it doesn't even bother me anymore because I've released them. I don't hold them to that debt anymore. I don't, I have freed myself. Really? Have you? Because if somebody else comes back and do the same thing, or that person does it again, have you really forgiven? If they do it again, because they're human, they're spiritual beings having a human experience, making human mistakes. And if you have not conversed with them about it, guess what? They're going to do it over and over again.
So that makes me think that people can get forgiveness confused with coping, learning how to cope in an environment with somebody that you haven't forgiven. In terms of, you could put on a smiley face. You can even have a conversation with them. But you're coping with the situation, but you truly haven't forgiven, because as soon as it's over, you're exhaling and like, whew, got through that. Jesus.
Absolutely. And coping is good for a moment, but that's not healed.
No.
I'm putting up with you, in other words.
Yes.
I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with this right now. But at the end of that coping moment, guess what happens? It resurfaces. It comes back because you haven't done anything with it.
Nope.
And we women are the greatest at coping. I don't want to ever be in a place where I'm stuck and you just coping. We do that well. We cope in positions and careers. We take on jobs because we have to. We have to take care of our families. but it's not what we were created to do or what we dreamed of doing. And we stay in that space because we don't believe that God is going to make a way for us. Why wouldn't he make a way for you when he's created you to do something different? We just don't trust him. We trust man more than we trust God. We rely on man. That's what strongholds are, is when we rely on something more than we rely on God. We rely on man. We rely on our bank accounts. We rely on our paychecks. And these people don't a bit more care about us. They care about the money that you're making for their company.
Yep. They want to see that bottom line
And
growth.
if you don't take care of yourself,
Yep.
and you don't see why you would stay in a position where you know you're not being honored. And that's where I am now. You know, it's become hospice has become a business. So why would you stay in a place where you're no longer honored or valued for what you bring?
They've taken the human component out of it.
Oh, absolutely. It's checking boxes, making sure this is done, and making sure this is done, and making sure this is done. And so I'm so busy making sure all my boxes are checked. I don't even get a chance to really relax and relate to my patients. Now, it is a gift for me to be able to relate and to see, like even when family members have said to me that they're okay, I can see right through that. No, what's going on? And being able to hug a caregiver and letting them release, because I can see, even though they've told everybody else they're fine, I see beyond that. You're not going to pull that with me. And just knowing I need to hug them or giving them a pass and saying it's okay. You know, so many layers and levels of things that you just don't get to see. And then when you spend that time like you have spent in the past, it creates you forgetting to do one of those checks and balances that they want you to do. And then Medicare just changed things. And they have this new system that you have to do now with every new patient that is admitted, that brings on another layer of pressure. And on my team, I've lost 2 people in the last month that have resigned. And another one told me that they're resigning. And so it's going to leave me and 2 other nurses. And it's just sad, because this is the one time when people should get the best care. You know, if God doesn't heal them, this is their final journey. And they should get the best care. They should get the most attention. But the systems are not allowing those things to happen. It's just like when things shifted with hospitals. And you can't, I'm getting off on a tangent because I'm passionate about it. You know, hospitals, and you get in the hospital and they have what's called these DRGs, when they determine based on your diagnosis how many days you should be in the hospital, as if we're all cookie cutter. You're not taking in all of my other comorbidities, all the other health conditions. You're saying, oh, you have this disease. This is what's happening with this disease. It should take you this amount of days, and the hospitals are forced to make sure you're in and you're out within a few days, or they won't pay. You know, or they'll hold back their pay. So passionate about that. Not necessarily all of what we're talking about, but again, we're talking about uprooting deep trauma. And I want to read for you a scripture that talks about bitterness. Because if we don't learn to uproot things, we become bitter. That unforgiveness, that bitterness, all of those things are reasons we need to reset. They're reasons why we get stuck. And the scripture is Hebrews 12 and 15. And I'm going to read it in the New Living Translation. Well, actually, I'm going to read 14 too. It says, work at living in peace with everyone, and working at living a holy life, for those who are not holy will not see the Lord. The meat of this scripture, verse 15, look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. That's what we're doing here. We're looking after one another. We're helping one another. But here it is. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many. So it's not just you and your root that is poisoned with bitterness and unforgiveness and all of these different things that causes your root to not be good. But your root winds up corrupting other people because of how you behave, how you act, how you treat people, how you walk into a room and everybody was happy and joyful, but when you walked in a room, all of a sudden the whole atmosphere changes because you're carrying around something inside of you that you need to heal. And everybody knows it, including you, but you won't do the work. We've got to do the work. We've got to determine that this life that we've been given is worth fighting for. If God fights for us, why won't we fight for ourselves? Why would we rather stay stuck? Why wouldn't we want to have these things resolved? Unresolved roots will always produce rotten fruit.
We got to get rid of the fear of what people are going to think, the fear of the offender thinking that they can become a repeat offender. We got to understand that God is the one who's going to take care of all of those things if we just obey what he's asked us to do, which is to forgive and to release, right? And not worry about who sees it, what they think about it, and if it's going to happen again. We can't worry about those things. That's not the reason that he wants us to forgive. He wants us to forgive so that he can continue to work in us and give us the freedom so we can help the next person.
Blessed to be a blessing. You do the work. When you identify your issues, when you identify what's the root cause of somebody else has that same issue. So when you get delivered, you have the testimony to help somebody else just believe, man, if they could do it, I could do it too. That's what we want you to know about this podcast. That's what the releasing every single thing is all about, that you can reset. You can do the work. You can be free. Yes. You can have the freedom. You don't have to go to bed at night shedding tears that, you're waiting for joy to come in the morning, but you're having so much trouble getting to the place where you can release it.
Right.
Because that's what resetting is. It's releasing it. It's setting it free. Open up the window. Let it flow out the window. Don't let it come back. We don't want no boomerang resetting.
Nope.
Where you spin that boomerang out and it come right back. Right back at you. It is no reason to stay stuck. There's none whatsoever. God is a God of progression. He's a God who allows us to evolve into better. He's a God who allows us to improve and become greater than we've ever been, because he had something preordained for us before we got here. And if he had it preordained, he's well able to make it come to pass. The problem is us not getting aligned with what he said, not getting aligned with what he has spoken about us, not believing what he said. And it's because of the root of who we are. My root of low self-esteem, my root of not feeling good enough, not feeling pretty enough, not feeling smart enough, not being enough for anything or anybody.
Yeah, I have those same issues.
Didn't allow me to step into my purpose until I got free of all of the things that I was telling myself that were never true. Right. I told y'all about my mother's t-shirt. God don't make no junk. So I don't care what somebody else is saying about you. I don't care what you're saying about yourself. We got to unroot, dig deep, get down dirty into the soil. Your mind, your will, and emotion. Dig deep into it. What is your mind saying to you? Why is it saying? Because why is like a shovel. Why digs? It gets in there.
Yes.
Woo-hoo. We gotta unearth some things. And that's not always easy. We have a lot more to go, but we're not going to do a lot more. We're going to just talk about how, I think how much time do we have? How much time have we got? We probably have about maybe 15 to 20 more minutes. So we can get to 2 more areas, and then we'll stop there and have a part 2, because we want, as we are communicating with you, we want you to start just thinking and writing, and start writing down some of these things that you have to deal with. We're here to help you deal with them. You put in the comments some of your issues and some of the things you're dealing with. We could talk about those things and give you actionable words that are personal, actionable steps that are personal to what you're experiencing, so that you can have the freedom that you deserve. So how to identify the root? I mentioned to you guys the last time, one of the things that I asked myself and how it has helped me get delivered is why did it offend me? Why did that offend me? What made that thing, what was said, what was done, why did it offend me? Because that will help me go back to where that started. Did what they say resemble something that used to be said to me? Mm-hmm. I mentioned that my mother would make comments about my weight when I would gain weight. And because she was always, small, she never had, probably the largest she ever got to was a 14, and that was stretching it. Most of the time, 8, 10. She was always small. Child, I was wearing probably a 10 in the 6th grade. She told me the most she ever weighed in her 9th month of pregnancy was 120 pounds. And that was with me. Thanks, Rosie. And then even said that with me, I guess that's that, I forget what it's called, diet something, when your stomach muscles get stretched. So I even strained her poor little muscles in the floor of her belly. She said, when I had to step up steps, I had to hold my belly up. I'm like, well, thanks, I would say. It wasn't like I came out a 10-pound baby, but I wonder what, I'm going to have to ask my brothers, do they remember how much they weighed when they were born? Because why was I the one? Maybe it's because you had too many babies and I was number 6. But she reminded me all the time that I was the reason that her muscle got stretched and that she weighed a whole whopping 120 pounds in 9 months.
Poor baby.
Like seriously, 120 pounds. I was 119 pounds in the 6th grade, lady. Like, stop it.
Right.
But some of those comments, some of those things, being teased, and I didn't know it was bullying. Maybe I was being bullied. I don't know, but being teased about things. I remember maybe around 12, my mother's beautician burnt my hair out, so my hair had fallen out, and so I became self-conscious my entire life about my hair. That's why I don't let nobody be in my hair. So I do my own hair because I would hate when beauticians were like, what did you do to your hair? How about this gonna be the last time? Now don't ask me what I did to my hair. My hair is breaking off. There's a reason. You the specialist. Help me get it back. So now I done grow my own. I don't need none of y'all. So do it myself. Because that was a pressure point. That was a pain point. that was an area where I was teased. People don't realize children, we know, can be cruel to one another.
Yes,
but so can adults. Making jokes about things that people can't change.
Right.
Saying things about it impacts. So I'm saying that's how I had to look at some of the reasons why I settled for less. Why I allowed people in my life who didn't see my value, didn't see my importance, didn't see how much of a blessing I was to their life, because all they were doing was taking, but not giving. And I'm good at giving. So I didn't realize I wasn't getting anything. And I don't expect reciprocation because I don't give to you so that you can reciprocate right back at the same level of measurement of what I've given. I give because that's what God placed in me to do. But I do expect you to give something. Hello, I do exist too. I can't keep pouring out and never get poured in until I got free to realize when I do pour out, God pours back in because my mind is right now. My thoughts are right now. My stinky thinking is gone. And I'm not holding all of this debt, holding people to these debt. I'm able to not only forgive you, but I'm able to forgive the offense and ask God to not only repair my heart, but to work out something in you. Because if it's a character flaw for you, and it's not just me you offend, but you do this to other people. I want to make sure that God also begins to work on you. And even if they never change, it is well with my soul. I'm not carrying my deep root work. I'm not carrying your stuff. I've unearthed some soil and I've dug deep and I'm getting rid of those things. Again, unresolved roots will always produce rotten fruit. And I like producing what the fruit of the Spirit says to produce. Have you ever thought you healed but realized the root was still there?
Oh, yeah. And in a lot of instances, going through heartbreak, and you'll wake up and you feel like, oh, it's going to be a good day. It's finally gone. I'm finally feeling back to myself. And then a word or a song or a specific car can come, and my heart drops down to my stomach. And I'm like, what? And
Isn't
then it
that
takes me
something?
back.
How memories are identified or people are identified with songs. I'll hear an old song and it will take me right to that person who injured me. Like, really? Why am I still remembering that? But it doesn't hurt like it used to.
Right.
Because I've moved on from it and I've truly accepted that. Listen, everything that you experience is a lesson. So I can never harbor so hard in holding somebody to this debt when I know that it's made me better. Because if nothing else, I've learned what not to do or accept the next time.
Right.
But it's a lesson. God is giving, if we look at life as a lesson, I am grateful for what you've done because what you did make me stronger. I'm grateful for what you've done because it made me seek after the Lord and the word even more. I'm grateful that hurt came to me because it unearthed some things that needed to be unearthed. I would have never healed it if you hadn't done what you did.
Absolutely.
I would just be walking around acting like nothing's wrong
until you're triggered again.
Until I'm triggered again, and I don't want no triggers pulled, and I ain't trying to be triggered.
How about that?
So I don't need no shots fired.
Mm-mm.
So we'll talk a little bit about how to identify the roots. Again, we're talking about why did it offend me, because I had gone back a little bit. We talked about asking that question, always asking yourself, why did it offend me, so that you would be able to start uprooting things. Then follow with, why did I respond that way? What made me respond in a certain way? I shared last time when my husband would watch a TV show or watching something, he go, I know that means something on there. He like, woo, okay. And seeing him look at somebody and go, and I'm like, well, my hips look like them hips. So what you saying? And he tell me, you need to work that out. It's the same thing. Why am I responding that way? He didn't do anything. Right. Why do I respond when I mentioned last time about talking to, maybe fussing or raising my voice at a child that's working my last nerve and they see me doing something. Well, they just were coming to ask you something. Yeah, can I? And you like, don't you see me? No, they didn't, because they're children and they're me, and they
Right.
think of themselves. They're not thinking about you. So you need to think about you and check your behavior. So why are you snapping? Why are you snapping? Why are you so angry? And why are you angry with people who didn't, we bleed on people who didn't cut us.
All the time.
You didn't do anything to me, so why am I bleeding all over you? It is important to me as a leader in my different areas, ministry, anything that I do, it is important to me to have my stuff together before I go up and speak, because whatever is inside of me will spew out on those who are listening to me. Mm-hmm. It's the spirit. And if you're not careful, that's why it's important for me to continue to do root work all the time. If I see something come up, it's the reason why I asked you how you were doing, and I told you about my day, and I told you about what happened, the meltdown that I had, and how God blessed me to regroup, to get it out, to be able to share, to be able to talk about things. Mm-hmm. And so we just have to make sure that we are in that space. Trace repeated emotional reactions and patterns. It's a pattern. You got to trace it back. Where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Everything leads to something. It's like a vine. You just keep following that vine until you get to where the vine begins. Because we're all connected to something.
Yes.
We're all been made to have something like this happen. Recognize when emotions are outsized. They're huge. Like your reaction is over the top. Like really when somebody's saying, gosh, calm down.
Right.
And you ready to fight. It's like, then you done told me to calm down. Now I'm really really gonna go extra because you done told me to calm down. But why were you so fired up?
Mm-hmm.
Begin to journal your feelings. What's beneath the anger? What's beneath the fear? What's beneath your silence? What's beneath you shutting down? What's beneath you isolating? Why will somebody say something now you don't answer their phone calls? Again, never having a conversation. You just shut them off. You just cancel them out. We are in cancel culture where you're not supposed to say anything offensive, like you're going to know when something offends. We're so sensitive.
But that's not love. That's not love.
It's not. It's not God's way, and it should not be the way of humanity. Because if we all keep canceling, who's going to be standing?
You're punishing. You're doing God's job. You're in that position punishing them. They don't even know they're being punished because you didn't even tell them that they've offended you. So they're going to continue to do the same thing until you have that conversation.
It's the condemnation. How do you get to condemn me? Who gave you that right?
That's it.
Who decided that what I did was condemnation worthy? And we do that. It's the way that I forgive and forget. I am reminded of how flawed I am, how often I make mistakes, how often my thoughts are not the right thoughts. And I have to reel those thoughts in. Sometimes repenting for the thoughts that I had, mm-hmm. repenting for the things that I've spoken, repenting for the things I've done, because I don't live in perfection. I'm flawed. And guess what? So are you. And it's okay, because God knows who we are and how we are. And I want you to know your why is your shovel, and it's telling you to dig deeper. Why am I responding this way? Why am I acting this way? It is your shovel, and it is telling you to dig deeper. Mm-hmm. What's one question you've asked yourself that exposed the deeper issue?
You said it earlier. Why are you reacting that way? Why are you so mad? What was that song? Why you get so mad about it? And I've said to myself, why are you tripping? You know, and having to go back and apologize. And then to really ask myself, like, why did that, And usually in those cases, it's not even the person that I'm dealing with at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I'm bleeding on a person that
wasn't the one to cut you.
Right.
But they just happened to show up at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yes.
And they was not showing up for your mess.
And sometimes, though, when I ask myself that question, I have to excuse myself because once I get the answer, I need to go somewhere and have an ugly cry. And repent.
Oh, Lord Jesus. It's very reflective. And I know this might feel heavy. It might feel like it's unattainable. It might feel like it's too hard. It might feel like it's going to take too much because we want a microwave. So this might feel deep. It is. And it's worth it. We've got to get to a place where we're comfortable being uncomfortable, knowing that being uncomfortable is unearthing things that are preparing to be healed.
And it doesn't last forever.
It doesn't. Like I told you the other day, that the community leader in another community that I belong to, he said that his personal trainer said something that was profound when he was making him do all these reps. And he's like, it just hurts. And I was like, wow, that is pretty profound.
Yeah.
I used to work out with this group, and they used to always say, you can do anything for 5 minutes, or you can do anything. When they like, come on, we got 10 more minutes. You can do anything for 10 minutes. I'm like, yeah, listen, I'm I have been created in the image of God. We are his greatest creation.
Say that.
So there is nothing, I love to say, if there's nothing too hard for God, then there is nothing too hard for me. You just wussing out. Push through. It just hurts. And that's not to minimize the hurt. It's not to minimize the pain. What we are saying to you is you can push through. Childbirth is probably the greatest thing that a woman does that is painful. But you don't say, don't deliver it, leave that baby. You might say, leave that baby up in there. But the truth of the matter is, you know that that's not going to happen.
Right.
That baby is making its entrance. It's coming into the world, and you just have to deal with it. And then when the baby arrives, you forget about all that pain that you just endured. In fact, you go on and have more babies, forgetting the pain that you endured. Because it is just pain. And we can get through it. We can survive it. Mm-hmm. I'm still alive. You're still alive. Yes. And we don't look like what we've been through.
Thank God.
And you won't look like what you've been through. Just step into it and do the work. So we'll end this episode like we did forgiveness. We'll end it with these actionable things, and then we'll start right back. I just want to give them to you. We're not going to talk about them tonight. It's my sinuses are on fleek. They are just really, we don't even say on fleek no more.
My daughter would say, don't say it again. Don't do that again.
Don't say it again. Okay. So sorry. Almost telling my age. Steps to dig it up. Listen, you got to acknowledge. Don't pretend the pain isn't there. You know it. Everybody else knows it too, because they watch your behavior. They know how you act. They see it. So why not show up differently and shock all of them? Even more than anything, shock the enemy. Because the devil likes us stuck. He likes us not applying what God has given us, the principles of his word. He likes the fact that we live beneath our privilege and we forget all of the things that God says we can have. He likes that. So I would prefer not to align myself with what the enemy is saying and doing, and disalign myself with him and align myself with what God says. Make him look really foolish. And so you have to acknowledge. I said I wasn't going to talk about these steps, but I'm not. I'm going to stop. I'm just going to give them to you. Acknowledge. Don't pretend the pain isn't there. Locate. Where did the root start? Is it a moment? Is it a person? Name it. Give the emotion or the belief a name. Forgive again. Sometimes root work surfaces new layers. You just got to do it over again. And then replace it. Plant truth where lies once lived. We'll dig more into this because I am determined to help you not only dig up the root, but destroy any root that needs to be destroyed. Because there are good roots. There are good, healthy roots that we have. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that the roots we are destroying are the ones that are destroying us.
That's right.
You hear that? The roots that we're going to destroy are the ones that are destroying us. The ones that we need to get rid of. So we're going to come back next Friday for Freedom Friday. Freedom Friday. Freedom Friday. Oh, no, you're not over there singing. Friday. We're going to come back next Friday for Freedom Friday at 7. Join us again, and we'll pick back up steps to dig it up. And then we'll have some more actionable things to do. And as I shared with you that I'm going to read at the end of each episode until God suggests that I know, because he placed this upon my heart to share with you. And when he says to move on to something else, we'll move on to something else. But it's an affirmation that I wrote for myself called I Am Becoming. And I want you to say these words after me. First of all, say, I am becoming.
I am becoming.
She's sleepy. I release the weight of today.
I release the weight of today.
Every worry, every what if.
Every worry, every what if,
every pressure to be more.
every pressure to be more.
I choose peace over perfection.
I choose peace over perfection
And rest over rushing.
and rest over rushing.
My mind is aligning with truth.
My mind is aligning with truth.
I am not behind.
I am not behind.
I am right on time.
I am right on time.
I am not broken.
I am not broken.
I am being rebuilt.
I am being rebuilt.
I am not stuck.
I am not stuck.
I am being still
I am being still
so I can be strengthened.
so I can be strengthened.
Even in silence,
Even in silence,
I am growing.
I am growing.
Even in rest,
Even in rest,
I am rising.
I am rising.
God is doing more in the quiet
God is doing more in the quiet
than I could ever do in the chaos.
than I could ever do in the chaos.
I am safe.
I am safe.
I am loved.
I am
I
loved.
always get emotional. I am chosen.
I am chosen.
I am enough.
I am enough.
And tomorrow,
And tomorrow,
I will rise with renewed strength,
I will rise with renewed strength,
renewed clarity,
renewed clarity,
and renewed purpose.
and renewed purpose.
Why did I feel like, you know how you watch foreign countries when somebody's ministering and the one person is preaching in their language and the other person... That's what you just made me because you were so intentional.
Translator.
I am such a such. Like, okay. I said repeat, but I didn't say act like we on the stage and I'm speaking a foreign language and you're the interpreter over there. Thank you very much.
Just want to make sure they get it so they can write it down and say it
Help
every
us,
morning.
Lord. Well, this ends part 1 of getting to the root of your hurt. Digging deep into your soul, your soil, your mind, will, and your emotion. So come back next week for the second part of this episode, and so that we can continue to dig deeper. We're going to start back with those actionable steps to make sure you have what you need. Make sure you like this episode. Make sure you subscribe if you have not become a part of the Nugget Tribe.
Yes. Make
Make sure you comment so that we'll know if there are areas that we need to help or that, we're doing okay. We're still, this is our second episode as, actually it's our third episode because this is our third episode of host and co-host. So we're still getting used to it. The first one we had a lot of fun, but we got to dig deep. And so we still are having fun, but we want to make sure that you get exactly what you need and that we lead you to the freedom that you deserve. You deserve to be free. You deserve to have peace. You deserve to have joy. Because joy is what God gives. It is not based upon what's happening. That's happiness and unhappiness. It's based upon what's happening. Those things are the conditions of your flesh.
Yes.
But joy is something that God gives and nobody can take it away. It only gets given away. And we want to help you go get your joy back.
Yes.
So you've just been nuggeted by the Nugget Dropper.
And the co-host, Sonja D, that's bringing the soul.
And we're glad you're here. We're glad you hung with us. And we'll see you next time. See you later. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you for watching the Rest Movement Podcast. Remember, keep breathing, keep believing, keep becoming. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you next Friday.